Most Blender users think you need complex camera rigs to get transitions this smooth, and the truth is, you don't. You just need to understand one curve shape, and it's hiding in your graph editor right now. It's called the S-roll, and once you see how pros manipulate this curve, you'll never animate cameras the same way again. The S-roll is the camera's heartbeat, and it consists of 3 words: impact. The camera rushes in to command the attention. Breathe. The camera slows down to let the viewer absorb the scene. Exit. The camera zips away to keep the energy moving. Impact, breathe, exit. Now let's build this from scratch. Alright, now that we're in Blender, let's put the S-roll into action. I've downloaded this 3D model from Sketchfab, and I've given it some simple lighting, simple rim light, a key light, and just a plane to lighten the bicycle a bit more. The first thing we want to do is place our cameras. And when I say cameras, I'm saying cameras because we're going to be having multiple scenes. And we're going to be placing our cameras on places that matter. I'm going to be having a general view, a view on the tire, and a view on the handle. So let us do that real quick. So the first thing I want to do is Control A. I add my camera. Then I go align view, camera. So yeah. So now that I have this, I'll just do that for the rest of the scenes. Alright, now that we've done that, we have our first camera, which is scene 1, scene 2, and then scene 3. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add empties that will control those cameras. The reason why we're adding empties that will control those cameras is because we want our cameras to be focused on specific areas. So for my scene 1 camera, I'll select the bike, press Shift S and cursor to select. Then I press Control A. I add a box empty because for me a box empty is quite easy to use. Then I move the empty a bit to the center or rather let me move the camera like this. So then I will select my camera first, then select my empty and Control P, separate to object, keep transform. So what that does is when I select my empty, because we're going to be animating our empties, once I press rotate, as you can see, it is focusing my rotation on the bike, or rather on the empty. So I'll just do that for my remaining cameras. I'll go to my next camera, select this cursor to selected, add my empty. Alright, so now that we have all that sorted out, I also placed my cameras and empties in collections just to make the scene organized so I can hide them and the scene doesn't look so clustered. I can also hide my lights just to make that simple. So let's unhide scene 1. The first thing we want to do, or the next thing we want to do, is we want to place markers on our timeline, markers that will control where our camera will go. So I have 180 frames and I'm going to be dividing the 6 scenes into 60 frames. So I'm going to go to frame 1, M, frame 60, M. So M is shortcut for markers. Then frame 120, M. So what this does is it just adds markers. So now that I have markers on each frame, I'll go to the first frame. I'll select my scene 1. And I'll select the camera for my scene 1 and Control B. So what Control B does is it adds a camera to that marker. So as you can see, our camera is on scene 1 camera for now. So let's hide scene 1 and go to scene 2. So what we want to do is select our camera for scene 2, we'll click on this, or you don't need to actually click on the green camera icon. So what to do is go to frame 60, that's our second marker, and we'll click Ctrl B again. So as you can see, from frame 1 to frame 60 is the scene 1 camera, then scene 2 camera. So we'll do that also for scene 3. So we'll click on our scene 3 camera, then Ctrl B. So now we play the animation, scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3, then back to scene 1. So that's how we work with multiple cameras in Blender. So now that we have all that, let us finally add animations. So I'm going to be adding animation for the first scene. I'll go to frame 1. I don't want to press I because inserting keyframes like that will add keyframes to everything, and I just want to add it to just my Z axis, my Z rotation axis. So I'll come here, I'll click insert keyframe on only my Z axis. I'll go to frame 59, then I rotate it a bit more, then I key my Z axis. So now it's just rotating on the Z axis. We'll go to frame 60. Let's hide scene 1 and unhide scene 2. We'll do the same thing for all of them. So remember, we are rotating them on one direction. So now that we've done all that, this is how it looks. First one, second one, third one. But as you can see, this is where most beginners stop because it looks so robotic. So this is where we actually implement the S rule. We'll go to our graph editor now. So when we get to our graph editor, we can unhide all these things because we're going to be working with all of them. Now that we are here, the first thing we want to do is we want to select our empty for scene 1. And as you can, this is our graph for our empty. Remember, we only use the rotation Z axis. The first thing we want to do is we want to change our pivot points to individual centers. What this does is it allows us to rotate our handles on just the centers. So now that we've done that, we'll just rotate this. Rotate it so it will look like an S. This is our S rule. Then we'll scale it up a bit. So now that we have our S rule, let's see how it looks now. Remember, it is impact, float, and exit. So this is what it impact, then float, then exit. So let's do that for our remaining scenes. We'll go to scene 2. We'll select the empty for scene 2. We'll rotate our handles. Scale it up a bit. Same thing for scene 3. Select the empty, rotate our handles, scale it up a bit. So now let's see how the animation looks in general. Wow, as you can see, this is very smooth animation. Then back to scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 1. As you can see, this is very smooth, but I feel like scene 1's animation is a bit too slow, so I'll just make that faster. And how to make that faster is scaling the handles more. But you don't want to scale them too much, because when you scale them too much, here is what happens. As you can see, you just see that. So we don't want to scale them too much. We just want to scale them a little bit for us to get that steep curve. So that's it. That is how you get smooth camera animations in Blender. So if we check that on the rendered view now, how it looks clean. You should add better lighting, better environment. It looks clean already. Now that you know the secret of the S rule, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment on the next 3D secret you want me to cover. Here is the final result.